Hi, I'm Dr. Celine Gelgich.
And I'm Dr. Tori Miller. Welcome to Breaking the Rules. On Breaking the Rules, we talk about all things OCD.
Obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, impacts up to 1 to 2% of the population. We are here to provide not just education, but to inspire clinicians, families and people who are impacted by OCD to be able to access the treatment they need in order to get better.
Catch us every fortnight, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi everyone, welcome to the next episode of Breaking the Rules. So glad you could join us today.
Hello.
Hi, how you going, Tori?
I'm all right. Just had a coffee.
Yeah, feeling buzzed?
Feeling buzzy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. We are talking about values today and paradox.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today's going to be a little bit different, I think, in terms of we're going to be very open and curious today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just wonder together.
Well, that's right, because this is something that you've been thinking about.
Yes.
And doing a bit of reading about, and I'm certainly very curious. And certainly the idea of paradox is one that I think comes into the therapy space with OCD.
Yes.
Or like often every session, but we might not address it sort of outright.
Yes.
I think we often think about this in relation to stuckness, don't we?
Yes. And when a client is fused with their values.
Yeah.
Which essentially keeps them stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start there. Tell me about fused thoughts. What is it? What does it look like? I think let's define it, because this is a word that I think gets thrown around a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But I do think it's worth really sort of drilling down on.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think if we think about it from an acceptance and commitment therapy perspective, we can have an understanding of what it means to be fused with our thoughts, in a sense that thoughts can be really sticky, reoccurring, and clients find it really hard, or people who are stuck in their thoughts or fused with their thoughts find it really hard to separate. It's almost like they've become one with their thoughts, and they treat their thoughts as being real, as being serious, as being advice to listen to, that they have to act on them straight away, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And when we're working with that, we can work on this concept of separating or diffusing from thoughts, between the client separating themselves from their thoughts and having just a little bit of a healthy gap.
Yeah.
So that they can start to exercise different levels of choices.
Yeah.
We can see similar things occurring when a client is fused with their value system. And so this is what we're going to focus on today, I think, and just be curious about in terms of how that happens and why that happens and what that can look like in the room. And what I mean by that is when someone is fused with their values, someone with OCD, for example, who values being a good person, will go to the nth degree to uphold that and can't even fathom like anything different.
Yeah.
Which is what we're trying to do when it comes to ERP.
Yeah.
We're trying to introduce this idea of the other side of that coin.
Yeah. Almost like, the only way to be a good person is to be perfect.
Yes.
Like anything less than that, is
wrong or immoral.
Is wrong or immoral.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's intolerable, because if you're not perfect, then you're basically bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what's the point?
And what's the point?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so when we're working with exposure therapy, this often can come up, and a lot of the time clinicians themselves feel stuck because they don't know how to get in terms of how to even work with the client to introduce some level of flexibility. Like I often say to my clients, I'm not asking you to change your value system. I think it's a beautiful value system to be wanting to be seen as a good person. But that also comes at a cost.
Yeah.
Right? And so, and clients will bring it to you anyway. They're like, I want to be flexible, but I also like being perfectionistic.
Yeah.
And so there are a list of these, what we call, it's really a paradox. And this is what we mean by that in terms of how do we toe the line of A and B, as opposed to it being A or B.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it sure does. Because I think a lot of people get caught in the tension of wanting one or the other.
Yes.
And feeling like it has to be one. So it's very sort of binary thinking. But both things can be true at the same time. But in order for us to tolerate, kind of attending to both values, there's got to be flexibility and compromise, doesn't there?
Yes.
Like we can't be 100% of both of these competing values at the same time. It's not possible.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
And I think we can get caught up in the idea that it can be possible. But
You can have it all.
You can have it all. But it's that age-old saying of like, you can have it all, but not all at once, right?
Yeah.
But I think people get stuck in that of wanting to either prove to themselves that they can have it all, or they build resentment around it.
Why do you reckon that is? Why do you reckon people get stuck here?
That is such a good question. One thing that comes to mind for me is it's almost like an inner rebellion. Like, I'll be damned if,
Yeah.
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 If I need to have some level of flexibility but let go of this at the same time.
Yeah.
Or I'll be damned if I want to be a good person but have to tolerate some level of uncomfortable thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's almost like this inner rebellion around it.
Because I kind of wondered a bit about that as well, about like just how intolerable it feels to not be able to be something 100%.
Yeah.
And just like, I don't accept that. I don't accept that there's not a way, that there's not some kind of life hack that I can't implement to make this work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also there's probably some cognitive kind of styles in there, some sort of personality temperament stuff about sort of people, who naturally have a bit more rigidity in their thinking.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But I think what that does is you end up just battling against yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And then whatever the outcome is ends up happening to you.
Yeah.
So that's unhelpful.
Yeah.
at
That's
the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree, with what you're saying here about the OCD space, because I think that people do get so caught in their head and in these cycles of behaving, of trying to be true to their values and fight these paradoxes, and it's a very painful experience for them, and it's a really difficult thing for them to shift on their own.
Absolutely.
And it is actually, I think, a very difficult thing to accept.
Yeah.
I think it's a really difficult thing to accept.
I agree.
Yeah.
And it can take some clients almost a lifetime
Yeah.
of trying to reconcile those two things.
Yeah. What do you think it looks like when someone that we're working in the room with is sort of stuck in this state? What do you think it looks like? Is it the things that they're saying? Is it things that they're doing? Like, how would a clinician spot it if we think that someone is stuck in kind of being fused or...
Yeah. Let's use some examples.
Yeah.
So we have commonly identified paradoxes?
Yeah, paradoxes.
Paradoxes.
I think. Anyway.
Within OCD. One of them being, so these are just some examples. One of them being perfectionism versus flexibility. So we've got perfectionism and rigidity on one end, flexibility on the other. Health versus safety. And I mean health from the perspective of wanting to live a healthy, balanced life versus craving safety and certainty.
So a desperate need to want both, to want to have 100% certainty that we're safe.
Yes.
But also
and I'm not going to get sick.
Yeah, but also a real thirst for a healthy, balanced life. And yeah. Okay.
Self-protection versus growth. Personal focus versus social focus or other focus. Responsibility versus letting go. Purity versus imperfections or like impure thoughts. Yeah. Harm avoidance versus personal freedom. Religious and moral integrity versus practicality, so real world and personal needs.
Oh, that's a biggie.
Yeah, it's a huge one. Control versus trust.
Oh, mate.
Yeah. And then certainty versus paradox.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can see even just through that list how your clients would bring that to session.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Of like wanting like health and safety, for example. Someone who, is checking if their chicken is cooked through properly.
Yeah.
and asking for lots of reassurance and has all these rituals and compulsions around behavior, but then comes to therapy and is desperate to be rid of all these obsessions and compulsions and is struggling with letting go.
Yeah.
And so the fear sits in, but if I let go, then I have to sit with the risk of potentially the awful thing I'm worried about happening.
Yeah. And I don't want to accept that risk.
Yes.
I want to have both. I want to have the certainty that there is no risk.
Yes.
As I go about my free love and life.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So why can't I do that? And why can't you help me do that? I wish. But I also, like, I think, you know, is there an answer to that? Like, can we have both of those things? I don't know if we can.
No, we can't.
I think it's like near impossible to have those things. So does that mean we have to give something up, or do we work towards acceptance?
I think only through delusion could we have both. Honestly, like, and you know what? I think that is how a lot of us manage the process of acceptance is kind of through avoidance. I mean, this is kind of the existential death anxiety stuff that we talk about all the time, right? Which is that we cope with it by pretending it doesn't exist.
Yes. If I ignore it, it'll go away.
Yeah. I will take all these supplements, or I will go to the gym every day, or I will immerse myself in work so that I don't have to think about it. You know, I'll drive my car really fast and, you know, and feel the wind in my hair and, you know, and feel immortal. But just ignoring it, I think is sort of is a way that people are kind of resisting, you know, what you're saying is about like holding space for both at the same time. That's a very like,
it's an uncomfortable space to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, as you described, we do all these things to kind of avoid it, ignore it, pretend it doesn't exist. And when it comes to light, and this is why we're talking about it today, because it's worth exploring in therapy. Like when your client is stuck in therapy, one of the first questions to ask is, yes, what is going on for the client, but is there a value clash here?
Yeah.
Are their values clashing?
Why is it so hard to let this go?
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to accept this?
Exactly.
What comes to mind when you think or imagine yourself letting go of this, not engaging the compulsion, walking the other way, engaging in opposite action?
Yeah.
What comes to mind?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then working together with your client to kind of pinpoint both ends of the value clash, like the health versus safety, or the trust versus control, you know, all those things that we listed out before. And then helping them to identify that a paradox actually exists. Because I think half the time clients don't even know that paradox exists.
Yeah, that they want these two competing things.
Yeah. And I think once a client can be aware that those competing tensions exist, then they can do something about it.
Yeah. Because we can bring their awareness to actually what they're missing out on, or the things that they're sacrificing by being too rigid.
Yes.
Yeah, and do some of that values-based decision making. And
Exactly. Which goes further than something like, you know, a pros and cons analysis.
Yeah.
You know, where you sit and you just talk about, what are the pros of living this way? What are the cons of living this way? I think when you bring values into it, especially for someone with OCD, because OCD truly tackles or uses someone's value system and turns it against them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it creates this false sense of security. And I think it does that very well through this paradox, this tension, where it takes one and it almost makes it enemy-like in a sense. And then you've got the other side of that the client is kind of clinging on to or desperately wanting but can't access.
Yeah. And it kind of, it then makes me think of like the ego dystonic nature of some of the obsessions and the reason that they're ego dystonic is because of this tension, in fact. Because if that tension didn't exist, if they didn't have something that was completely opposing this particular value, they'd be all in. They'd be like, no, I just want to be safe and I will live a very happy life in my home, separated from the world. You know, like there is no tension here. I don't need to make any changes because this brings me great satisfaction. I think it is by very definition of like this paradox that exists that we have OCD, right?
Yeah, exactly. I would agree.
Yeah.
And so is this spoken about in the literature? Not very much, actually, which I've, been really surprised about, maybe in different ways, but I haven't been exposed to it explicitly. If someone has, please send it our way. I'd love to read it.
Agreed.
A lot of what we're talking about actually exists in the leadership field. There's a lot of talk about paradox and those clashing values in the area of leadership. And so I think we've just been starting to think about this makes so much sense for the OCD space as well, because of all the things we've just been talking about.
Yeah. So where do we go from here? Because I'm imagining myself in the position of a clinician, right? And you can see in your client in front of you, the tangled mess, the resistance, the tension that's building. I know I need to stop, but I can't. I don't want to. I'm resisting. How do we as clinicians help our clients to make shifts, to learn, to conceptualize these things? How do we weave this in?
Yeah. Well, building insight around the tension would be the first step, and just even encouraging them, or even noticing it together and mapping out the pattern together and working out what that is. And I think the next step I would take is talk about what the values actually are, because I think a lot of the time people don't even know what it is that's important to them.
Yeah, I would agree.
And so working together to be able to do that can be really helpful.
Do you have a favourite way of doing that?
Not really. A lot of the time, I mean, it depends on the client. I often will tailor the way to build it out based on what the client's preferences are. Some clients are more visual. Some clients just like to talk and brainstorm more. So sometimes I'll use value cards. Other times we'll just sit and jot stuff down. Other times I might post some scenarios and be like, if this was a scenario, how would you respond? What's important to you here? Or different contexts and roles. I might ask them what their roles are and what's important to them in each of those things. It just really depends on who's in front of you.
Yeah, so you can be quite creative and playful.
Yeah. I think that's important.
Yeah.
And so just working through that, which can sometimes take a while.
Yeah.
As well.
Well, because I agree. I think, we in the field talk about values a lot. It's been an amazing sort of contribution to the therapeutic and psychological space, the concept of values. I think it's been remarkable.
Yeah.
Remarkably helpful. But just because we talk about it a lot doesn't mean that our clients have necessarily been introduced to it.
Exactly.
Or have an expansive vocabulary around it. I think that often when people think about values, they think about, family, and generosity, loyalty, money, hard work sort of thing. But actually, it's
what do they actually mean?
Yeah, that's right. And it can be so expansive, and that there are so many values that we can have that actually just aren't on that tokenistic list of 10 or whatever that most people think about.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think maybe don't assume that your clients know what their values are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I would agree with that, because a lot of the time you'll get blank stares.
Yeah.
Or just generic stuff like you talked about.
Yeah.
And our role is to kind of help break down what it is in each of those sections that is actually important to your client, because someone might write family down, or 3 people might write family down, but what is it about family that they actually value and want?
Yeah.
And each of those would be very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think when you're thinking about paradox and you're noticing the tensions that are there, and you and your client are identifying these values that are there that are kind of sitting on both ends of the spectrum, then working out how to map that out and how to map out the tension so that they can see how the tension exists. And a way, like I said before, that a lot of this sits in leadership. So not much of this is actually in the OCD space. And if anyone wants to help us run a research study, please get in touch, because this is something I think we could benefit from hugely. Is the technique that's used in the leadership space is called polarity mapping. So you've got 2 poles, and how do you map those out? How do you map out the tension to encourage your client to see not just the pros and cons, but like how the value is actually influencing their behavior. And then in this space, how does OCD influence that behavior? So
that would be really interesting.
It is really interesting. way too complicated to explain over
Yeah.
a podcast episode, but worth reading about, I think, and worth thinking about and considering. But also, I think at its simplest level, just having the conversation with your client and just being curious about where the tension lies.
Yeah.
To open up the conversation, to name it, to have it, identify the patterns, and hopefully get unstuck
Yeah.
with your clients.
And I think what I'm thinking now as well is that I think in the OCD space, we have very, very much embraced the concept of how our role as clinicians is to help our clients sit with uncertainty.
Yes.
But I think we can get stuck just saying to our clients over and over, you have to sit with uncertainty. You have to sit with
Yes.
uncertainty.
Yeah.
And we can't just keep saying this to our clients over and over
No.
again and
Yeah.
expect them to just have radical acceptance one day and
I
go,
go, okay.
accept the uncertainty. Oh, is that what you meant?
Yes.
Oh, accept the uncertainty. Oh, I've got it now. I think these conversations
Yeah.
are a part of how we get our clients
Yes.
to recognize
Yeah.
what that actually means.
Yes.
What it means, to accept,
Yeah.
these paradoxes, these
Yes.
challenges,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that
Absolutely.
it's not just about accept that, I could die one day. Well, that can only be accepted if we can understand the tension that lies underneath.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we have to be having these conversations.
Yeah.
We have to go further than just identifying it and then going, well, that's something for you to accept.
Yeah.
Off you go. Good
Yeah.
session. See you next week. Practice sitting with uncertainty.
Because when has anyone really ever accepted anything without knowing why?
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And knowing what actually, because I think sometimes our clients, when we say this to them, sit with uncertainty, there's a lot of grief and loss that comes with that, and a lot of
course.
resistance, because it's like, but I don't want
Want
to.
to,
And
yeah.
what does and if I accept this uncertainty, all I can see in my future is pain.
Yes.
It is just pain and torture.
Yeah.
But I think,
and I don't want more of that.
and I don't want more of that.
Yep.
Which is why I keep resisting, which is why I keep engaging in these compulsions.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can go that step further and look at the things that they can gain,
Yes.
in terms of being able to attend to other values that they
Mm-hmm.
have and to find more balance between these two things, and
Yes.
I think actually gives a really beautiful reason to accept, because you can, because you can see what you can receive
Absolutely.
or gift yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. And what you're doing there is you're building a sense of self for your client, which OCD takes away
Yeah.
from clients. And when a client can build that sense of self outside of OCD, then life becomes so much more enjoyable
Oh, yeah.
and so much
richer.
more beautiful. And they end up carving a life for themselves that they actually want to live.
Yeah, that they're really
and
proud
not-
of.
Yeah, and not one that's stuck in OCD.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's end it there.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah.
That was a nice little wrap up.
I think so.
I know.
Yeah.
Let's go no further.
Otherwise, we're going to end up with a very philosophical discussion. We could be here for hours.
That was great. Thanks, Elaine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys, for watching. We'll catch you next time.